Hey Art Fam, it's Luis Martin, the art engineer, and welcome to the studio. Welcome to the safe space. It looks a little different. We'll talk about that in a minute. But are you ready? We haven't had any patrons, any new patrons, but are you ready? I'm going to pretend like we did. And it's on. All right, this is your invitation to join the Art Fam, become a patron for $5. And that what buys me coffee, a magazine, keeps the light on, and most importantly, gets you through the door. We're having our members hangout this Saturday, March 30th, and it's going to be fun. We're doing something new, something special, something exciting, and you're not going to want to miss it. But also, we have our collage kits. Become a member now. It goes from $35 to buy one, or $30, and you can buy a subscription indefinitely or for 3 months. Same thing with the digital kits, copyright free, so you can do whatever the heck you want, sell them for $1 million, then you become a patron, whatever. That's $15 for one, or $10 for your monthly kit. You guys, there's tons of ways to be part of this. I'm really excited because this is part two of maybe 100 of a drawing collage that I'm making. You remember last week I started a drawing of Elvis, my husband, from an image I saw that inspired me, and I made a little drawing. I'll show you that in a second. And today we continue, see where it takes us. All right, I have my coffee. What do you have? Oh, that's lovely. How are you? I hope all is well. The season is changing, so I hope you're changing right along with it, right? Okay, let's take a look at this. So look at this. So I made this sketch from an image that I saw at a crowded place, but it was on the floor, and I was like, I want to make something with that. It stayed in my head. So I drew a portrait of Elvis, and not the singer, my husband. And sometimes things need to simmer. Things don't always come together. I, for various reasons, have had to learn how to make things work really fast. So when I do my videos, I can pull that off. But when you want to make something bigger with a little bit more meaning, which is really where the magic sauce is, my friends. If you want to be an artist with a capital A, the only way to do that is when you bring your special sauce. And what's that special sauce? Your soul. Did I get your attention? That's all it means, really. We can make collages ad nauseum about flowers, about Marilyn Monroe, about anything. But if you don't bring your personality, your soul, your special touch, it's never precious, right? So by making a collage of someone who's so important to me, this is fine art. This is my art, because I'm bringing something very special to you that only I could bring. I'm telling you my story, our story, and then it becomes your story. So as a process of this, what do? Well, I made my drawing. I set it aside for it to simmer, literally. I don't use a stove to simmer my art. What do I use? My altar. So Elvis has been simmering in my altar back there, and it's playful, right? So a lot of my work used to be a little bit darker, but now I'm getting over myself, you guys. Like, we gotta get out of our way, you know. So I'm having fun. As a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to do a huge painting. I said I was going to talk about it anymore, but you guys, I read this book, inspired me, made me think about my own issues with sexuality. Not homosexuality, just sexuality, because I'm fine with being amazing queer, but just the idea of sexuality, because I have a complicated past with it. And one way to get over your traumas is through your art, right? That's where the soul comes in. So I'm gonna make what? I'm gonna make a painting. I bought my canvas. I'm working on some sketches. Those are some nudie men that that's going to be part of the painting. So I'm doing some studies, and I think it'll be fun. I can't do it on YouTube because they don't believe in nudity. They don't believe in the beauty of our body, which is why we are where we are, right? Shame, no shame. So that'll be for the members. So become a member and you'll get a peek into that. Let me know if you're interested. With this, I want to move forward. So here's the sketch, right? the next thing I want to tackle is the crown, because um, because it's part of the drawing, right? So this is the size of the collage, theoretically. Maybe I'll go bigger, I don't know. So I have to make it fit here, right? So now I have to decide what kind of crown do I want. So this is another fun part. We get to decide. I think the image, the original image that I saw, which I should have taken a picture of, it was as big as his head, and I love that. I think that's so cool. So I'm gonna do that. So all I have to do, I don't have an image of a crown. I know what a crown looks like. I did a little drawing. So now I'm just gonna place Elvis right where I think it's gonna go, and draw the crown. And I mean, again, sky's the limit, right? I can do whatever the hell I want and just play with it. So I was thinking also like a spiky crown would be kind of cool. That's cool. Okay. All right, so I did my drawing. So now I'm just gonna cut it out. I know it's probably a little bit hard for you to see because it was so light, but whoops. Okay, like I said, I need a bigger space, you guys. So we'll see how we make that happen. Okay, so now I'm just gonna double check, make sure that that feels right. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so now I'm just gonna cut it out. Because this paper is a little bit thicker and I'm not doing intricate work, I'm gonna use this X-Acto knife, all right? So as I'm doing this, talk to me, what's going on? Turn off your TV, stay on YouTube with me. You guys, it's terrifying. I was at the Metropolitan Museum the other day, this weekend, and I never leave my house on the weekends, but I went to brunch. And I make that face because everybody goes to brunch now, and it's so crowded with so many people, it's terrifying. But I went to brunch on the Upper East Side, and then we walked to the Metropolitan Museum. If you ever come to New York, you kind of have to go there, because it's our Louvre. You know, the French have the Louvre. We have the Metropolitan Museum in New York, and it's the biggest museum we have in the country. Actually, is it? The Smithsonian might be it. But anyway, this is one building. The Smithsonian is scattered. Let me know if you know which one's the biggest. Not that it matters. Anyway, but it's it was really crowded. It was beautiful. There was a protest for Palestine. I mean, it felt alive, you know. So that was really cool. And then after that, we crossed the park. We went through Central Park, which is right behind the museum, and I went to Nordstrom. But that doesn't matter. Why I'm talking about this is because there's an amazing show on the Harlem Renaissance. Now, if you don't know about the Harlem Renaissance, are you in for a treat? It started in the 30s and continues on to this day, really. And it's just an exhibit on beautiful Black art that was happening in that particular time. I lived in Harlem for 5 minutes when I was 19 or 20. And gentrification is a huge thing. It's been a huge thing in New York way before it affected the country, way before Airbnb. And Harlem was one of the few places where people really fought back. Like, there were people picketing, like, get out of our neighborhood. And that sounds aggressive, but it was so important. It was so important because history is whitewashed like nothing. And the things that we do know about Harlem is because people have held on and preserved their stories, right? And what are we talking about here, right? Preserving our stories. Why am I so excited about this damn book that I read? Because it's a history that wasn't whitewashed. It's a history that wasn't erased. So again, and I think, yeah, that's why I'm making this collage, right? Because in many ways, I'm idealizing my husband. I'm like, look, there's good men out there. You know what I mean? Like, I come from a world where that wasn't an option. So to meet good people in the world is very beautiful. So when you do meet beautiful, you protect them at all costs, is what I'm saying. So I'm doing this with a collage. If that's the only way you can do it, hey, that's it, right? So go check out the Harlem Renaissance. And there was a huge collage by Romare Bearden. If you don't know Romare Bearden, whoa, are you in for a treat? He made these beautiful collages and made some really big collages in scale, like 5 times bigger than this. And it's beautiful. It just really is. That's the only thing I can say. Uh, I love how he creates. Um, he actually creates figures in a very collagey way, very kind of put together. Um, and if you dissect it a little bit, it talks a lot about uh, that time, right? Having to kind of deconstruct yourself to create the person that you want to create, that you weren't allowed to become. So, again, art can be superficial and fun and not have to think about it, but it also has the power to be magic, right? To tell our stories, to live beyond our experience. So that's not a permanent show. I think it's I don't think it's traveling, but it's a temporary show. It's beautiful. And I know at BAM, actually, which is another museum in Brooklyn, which I don't go to because I think it's haunted, honestly. Every time I go there, like, I hear voices. Something about it. There's a lot of empty space that fills in with, like, energy. At any rate, I believe Alicia Keys' art collection is there. So, listen, think about that, right? Do you have an art collection? Where can it go after you're done with it? Okay, so here's my crown. You saw how easy that was? I have a letter here that maybe I'll share in a minute. Okay, let me get situated here. So, I don't know. Okay, so we'll figure that out in a minute. I wanted the crown obviously to be yellow, right? And if you notice, I also flipped it. This one's looking this way, Elvis is looking that way, because the source material, the picture I had, was looking that way, so whatever. I can go about it many ways. One, I wanted to be yellow, and I wanted to source yellow scraps or something, but I didn't have time, and I don't think I want to make it so fragmented. So, I found this, and I thought, oh, I can just cut it out of this, but then that's kind of boring. I would love to have 2 different shades of yellow, because this is what happens. What makes a painting really interesting? I have drawings here that I want to show you, but I can't because if I move them, their decency will be removed, and then you won't be able to see. You'll be able to see the genitalia. Anyway, I'll show you this way. These are drawings, and the reason I love these drawings is because there is a play in the color. So I'm not just using 1 brown. I'm using 3 browns or 4 browns and green or yellow. So with this crown, I want to use yellow and yellow, right? And I looked around, couldn't find any other yellow, but then yellow. So I'm just gonna use this, you guys. I'm just gonna use this. Do I need it? I mean, I don't know. Who knows? So I'm gonna use this because even though it's very similar, I hope the camera can pick it up. This is texture, and it has this beautiful texture that just, even if you don't touch it to the eye, you can totally feel it, right? So I love this idea of having different sensations, right? When you, and this, okay, we're going to talk about magic, obviously. I used to be a museum educator, and if you've never been to a museum and you're excited, what are you going to do? You're going to be like, oh, that's a beautiful painting. And then you touch, right? Because you don't know. So as an educator, I had to make sure people didn't touch the artwork. So my thing was like, okay, remember, we touch with our eyes, not with our hands. And that's a superpower, right? Because if you learn to touch with your eyes, then you don't need to be in Paris to appreciate the Mona Lisa, or you don't have to be in the ocean to see what's happening, to feel it, right? So I love this. I love texture because that's what it's doing. It's allowing you to feel it without touching it, right? So think about that and how that can give you some power. So, I mean, I cut this out and maybe I bit off more than I can chew because now I'm gonna have to figure out how to do this. That's fine. Okay. Because what I want to do is I want to make it kind of clean, you guys, which isn't my speed. But you know, as you grow older, you evolve. Hold on, let me get a pencil. Okay, so as you can see, I moved a little bit. I moved my studio a little bit because I want to make this painting, and when you paint, you need a little bit more room to spread out. And did you see the painting? It's 24 by 36. That's huge. One of the reasons I stopped painting was because there was no space for it. There's no space to store it, and there was no space to... There's no space. And also, and this is the fucked up part, I had a flood, and some of my paintings got ruined. And we had insurance, it was great, but that was so disheartening to see my paintings just all that time, you know, just go to hell. So I said, no, I don't have to be a painter to be an artist. So I decided I'm just gonna collage, and it was just as fulfilling, it was just as wonderful, because I think at that time I was just painting because I felt I had to keep up with my ideas of, you know, art school and artists paint. And I love painting, I really do. But I live in New York. I can't bend New York to my needs, right? I have to kind of flow with it. And I think that's a huge thing. Once you know how to flow and manipulate your environment, not my environment, not the idea of a good environment, but what you have at hand, that's when you can really make things happen. So I cleared my space a little bit to accommodate this painting. And I just want to have fun. I was talking to one of our members and friend, and we were at this great cafe, and I was telling her about the painting, and she's like, oh yeah, right, you said you were in your dirty old man phase or era. And I'm like, yeah. So this painting is going to have a huge naked man at the center, which is from an image that I found in a bookstore from a porn from the 60s. And here's the thing, TMI, or if you're triggered, please skip ahead. I'm going to talk about sex. As a child, I come from sexual trauma, right? So it took me a very long time not to be afraid of the idea of certain sexuality or approaching it. I always kept safe, right? Which is fine. It's worked amazingly. I've healed and things are good. So now at this point, I'm like, oh, right. And also reading about how our sexuality has always been weaponized against us and brought shame, right? So now I want to celebrate the fact that I have no shame, really. And that's kind of beautiful. In Spanish, there is a saying or a word that we call, you know, jerks, and it's sin vergüenza, which means without shame. And now I'm beginning to like see the other side of that word and say, wow, how wonderful to have no shame, to be a sinvergüenza. So be a sinvergüenza and do your thing. Of course, we're magical people, so we understand, for the good of all and the harm of none, right? Never forget that. But otherwise, fuck it. Have no shame, my friend. You do you. So that's where this is coming from. Let's see where it takes me, because I think that's also the other part of painting. It takes you places. Well, that's the other thing of art. It takes you places that you don't always know, right? So just like I'm embarking on this collage of Elvis, just like I'm embarking on the painting, it's gonna take me somewhere new. All right, let's see how this looks. Okay, good. Like this, but again, I do want it to be a collage, so I'm going to keep on going to give it more texture and coffee. Oh my god, that's delicious. Okay, so I also have this guy, right? And this is kind of thinner. This was a folder that I gave in one of the kits for New Year's. It was a time capsule. And actually, I'm also using them in the studio boxes. You guys, the studio boxes. More are coming your way. Thank you for everyone who bought them. Thank you for everyone who's asking for more. I knew it was going to be fun to put them together, but I mean, so here's the thing, you guys. You know, there's always a thing. When you're a cook, everything looks like food. When you're a singer, everything is a song. When you're a magician, I know I'm the art engineer, but I'm also, I'm magic people. When you are magic, everything you do is magic, right? So when I'm making these boxes, there's energy that pulls things in, and I'm like, oh, this is for this person. Oh, they need this, they need that. Not because I know, just because I'm picking up on like, okay. And talk about purpose. Like that fills me with purpose and joy, right? Because I have the goods. So do good with the goods, right? And yeah, so I'm really happy about that. I've gotten two people have already received them, and they seem to be very happy. I am excited to see what comes out of it. And here's the thing. Yes, everything in the box is a treasure, but nothing is precious until you put your little hand on it, until it has your human print on it, right? Talking about making art with soul, talking about AI. It's great. I love AI because now more than ever, it's going to be so important for us to be authentic and to make mistakes and to leave our dirty little hands on everything, right? So don't be afraid. Okay, this is going to be cute. So today, I think I'm just going to make the crown. And then next time, we will do the background and see where that takes us. But do you see the difference? Do you see how of breaking it into parts, of taking your time and maybe ruminating on it, right? I always tell people artists need time to just kind of sit there, and I'm not kidding, because even when we're not doing anything, we're doing things. We're literal sponges, right? A sponge doesn't need to be told to absorb. It just absorbs, right? So we are observing and absorbing and all of the zerbings. Okay, let's do this. So I'm kind of just creating this pattern here because I want to do something, you guys. Okay. Okay. That's great. Okay, look. So now I have little drawers here, which you can't see, but look. I'm so organized. I'm really excited about this. I'm really proud of myself. Okay, look at this. Yes. Oh my goodness. This is good. Okay. So I'm not going to use this guy actually because I probably need something stronger like our little double adhesive strips, which you get in your kit. So I'm just gonna do this here. Okay, so I read that book, right? And now I'm reading another book, which I'm about to finish. And we have some amazing people in our community. And one of these amazing people is Virgil Suarez. And I don't know, we had a conversation, and I was like, oh, he made a collage, and I was like, oh, that looks like the cover of a really amazing story. You should write one. And he's like, I already wrote too many books. And I was like, what? You wrote a book? He's like, yeah, I'll send you one. He sent me a book. It's called Latin Jazz. Wow. I'm just, first of all, I'm just so excited to be able to get into his head, right? To read this book and hear his voice. And then just to see the talent that emerges, right? He's really talented. So he has an amazing way of creating characters that, at least for me, that I kind of fell in love with, each and every one of them, from the nagging wives to the main characters. So I'm really excited. it's made me cry twice, which is kind of cool. But yes, so it's nice to meet people who create. So I'm excited to finish that. Pick it up if you can. I'll put it in the link, and I can't wait to talk about it with him. I haven't spoken to him about it. Okay, I have my crown. So as I was saying about texture, I want to continue this texture, but first let's have him try it on for size. Is this ridiculous or what? I love it. Okay, so I wanted it to put it behind his head. Yes, I think behind the head is probably better. I don't mind this. I think that would be cool. No, okay. So what I wanted to do, you know, I have this, and I had a square one. This is a circle one. Bear with. Okay, so this is the extent of my organization. Look at this. I have never. What? Okay, so here it is. This is what I use. Oh, this was the hectagon. Back you go, my bunnies. Okay, so again, I wanted to create kind of a pattern or a texture. This will do the job. And after this, I think we'll be done for this session. So I made a crown. I'm crowning Elvis. Who would you crown? I mean, there's people in our lives that, you know, that have had effect on us, you guys. And it's something that's good. And this is the cool part, I think, right? Even if I never show this to Elvis, because he wouldn't notice if I just, you know, hid it behind a shelf. It's in the making, right? The making, and the sharing, not necessarily with him, but with you, when I tell you the stories of why I'm making this, right? And, you know, I've been talking a lot I've been FaceTiming a lot with my nieces, and I don't have kids, so I'm leaving them all this junk. I'm doing things intentional where, like, okay, how is this gonna make sense to these kids? Oh, look, he really loved this person, and there are people out there good enough to love, right? And again, I know it sounds ridiculous when I say that wasn't normal for me. Like, yeah, when you grow up in crazy places, good people are not necessarily always that visible, right? So it's nice to have that perspective. Okay, this is why I don't like this glue, because look at that. Isn't that sloppy? Okay, that's kind of unacceptable. So let me take that off. Okay, so this is exactly why I use this, because this does not do that. And the only reason I didn't want to do it now was because this paper is so thin that you might be able to see it. Let me see. Okay, you can. Good. So again, it doesn't matter. It just rubbed me the wrong way. And if I'm making a crown for someone, it's going to be a good crown, right? It's got to be crown worthy. Okay. I know. It's happening in the royal world. Okay, so let's see. What are you doing this spring? What are we getting into? So here's another thing that I've been telling people, and everyone's like, you're crazy. I love cruising. Like, not with a ship, I mean. I love the idea of taking a cruise, you guys, and everyone I talk to is horrified when I say that. We took one cruise, and it was really, really fun. We saw dolphins. We would just sit there in the balcony, and it was wonderful. I had great coffee and read my books. What else do you want? So let me know if you've taken a cruise. Let me know which one. I really want to take a cruise. And I don't know. I think it's the escapist in me, right? Just want to escape for a minute, you guys. Okay, here we go. So you see what's happening here? It's yellow on yellow, and like I was saying, I just had an idea. Okay. Yellow on yellow is exciting because it has many facets. Is what I'm trying to get at with this, right? Now I'm just wondering, If I put it here, can you see it? You can kind of see it. All right. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. So cool. Okay, and you know I gotta gild the lily, so and this is why I gasped a minute ago. I saw you. Where are you? I literally. Oh, here you are. My handy dandy oil pastels from Mexico. Yellow. Do I have yellow? Yes. Step forward, please. Okay. Look how fun. And this just adds a dimension, right? Like, can you see it? A little bit. Does it matter? No. But it adds a dimension. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. Maybe a little orange? Maybe. I don't want to rub anything right now. That sounds weird. Okay. There we go. Good enough. And then if I don't like it, I can just rub it off, I think. Okay, this is my crown, you guys. All right, now we can crown Elvis. Elvis gets a crown. Oh, yes. Okay, you can probably see it better this way. So here's the thing. Eventually, I'm gonna have to put it in a big piece of paper, and I'm gonna have to kind of play with the camera angle so you can see all of it. But this is going somewhere, my friends, and I'm super excited. All right, that's it. This is part 2, and thank you for joining me, and thank you for all the wonderful comments. What else can I tell you before I let go? Nothing. I'm not letting go. But join the art fam immediately. Immediately. Let's do this. Let's take it to the next level. $5 gets you in. Become a patron, and all will be good with the world. All right. I'm Luis Martin, the art engineer. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week. And take it from there. Cheers.